Hey, it's CJ again. Shreveport, Louisiana. Over here is downtown, and back over here is the little area. You may be able to make out uh, just beyond this back lot here. That's going to be uh, a studio that's going to be up and going pretty soon. But actually, we're pretty excited about that. But anyway, beyond it, you can see right over here. There's like a little empty lot, and then on the other side of that, where this wall is, uh, a cemetery. If I zoomed in, here you get a better look at the cemetery. It's actually we actually regard it as sort of a, a landmark, a local landmark. It's protected. Um, it's very historic to Shreveport. Was Yeah, like there's a like mass grave there when we had like a yellow fever outbreak shortly after settlement and everything. Anyway, I don't know. Uh, yeah, I just want to draw attention to uh, what's going on the ground, which is a lot of sleet and frozen rain, and some snow flurries that were mixed in, but we don't really have. It's not really like this nice powdery snow that you guys get up north. It's really icy, and so there are kids out there trying to play in it, and it's like, oh my god, it's ice. It's like ice frozen and stuck to ice, and they can't really do anything with it. They can't make a snowman with it. It's not uh, suitable for that. When they try to play, it just comes up in great big clumps. uh, how interesting that there wasn't foresight enough to have maintenance people come over and take the pool furniture inside. But that's not my circus, not my monkey. I do think it's a pretty sight, though. It's pretty, you know. Um, like what's being predicted is that it's pretty much stopped. I can get out there. I just took some trash out, and that's why I'm deciding to do a video now. But I felt like some cold crispiness on my face. But yeah, it's pretty much gonna uh, throughout the day tomorrow. There's not really expecting any more precipitation, and we're told that it should look like a really uh, good day, except it'll be cold. But the sun will be out, so we'll start seeing this melt away, and it'll be gone by the end of tomorrow, or mid morning by Wednesday. We really won't have this. That's what I'm looking at as far as what I'm looking at. But I'm not a meteorologist. I just like listen to the reports on TV. I don't really even normally like watch a lot of TV. Um, I don't have it on just for noise or whatever. I'd rather have music on if I've got chores to do or something like that. So, but yeah, that's cool. And I do understand that some other places in the northern United States are really having a tough time of it. Chicago in particular and everything. And yeah, I'm really hate that. You know. Um, I hope everybody's safe. I hope I hope everybody throughout all over the country. I hope they stay safe. I hope we don't have any deaths as a result of which is this is pretty typical for us. If we get some frost, uh, some ice on the road, and our bridges freeze over, uh, then that's okay for us. And this is pretty typical. We'll get this every couple of years. If we don't get some ice, we usually do get some ice in the winters, but sometimes we'll get something more sleetish or sluggish or something like that. And this is the type of snow that we get that's usually mixed in with sleet. And I guess a few years ago we had like a really, that double impact whammy, that double blizzard that took the country. That was that stayed around. That was like, whoa, that's enough snow to, and it's a good thing there was so much snow because our, uh, plumbing wasn't working. We were having to use the snow to flush our commodes with. It was so fun. Um, anyway, uh, that was probably what about 3, 4 years ago. But listen, everybody stay safe, stay warm, love and light, and yeah, we'll talk later. I'm doing um, a ham for dinner, and I'm going to do some biscuits to go on the side of the ham, and then I'll have some eggs for dinner. So I'm just going to like cozy up with a really great breakfast for dinner kind of thing. And the reason why I know this is because right now I have the ham in the oven, and I'm going to like slow cook it, and it's going to be great. And I've got a good. I'm trying to do what I think would be an interesting red eye gravy uh, with not adding more sugar because I'm actually going to have it with biscuits. And I've got the biscuits actually going to be more like muffins because I want them to like stay kind of firm. I did like a firmer. Well, hang on, I'll just show you the dough. Hang on. All right, so this is, and I have about 9 of them. I could have maybe stretched it and gotten a full dozen, but it's just me, and you know, these will these will swell up. These will huge. These will turn into muffins uh, here. Um, and what's on top of it is an everything bagel seasoning. It's like, oh, okay. So you can't eat the everything bagel seasoning if you have to do any sort of drug test because you see all the poppy seeds. If the drug test is sensitive, uh, then that will come up. So, but just be aware of that if you ever do anything. But there's sesame. There's all sorts of seeds in here. I love it. There's any kind of seed. um, and that's basically the only seasoning I put on it. But it's a real dense, not a dense dough so much because it's actually this is probably doubled as far as a biscuit. What you want to do is you don't want to overmix your biscuit dough. The ratio here is 1 part uh, self-rising flour. To that, I always add a little bit of extra baking powder. Even though there's already baking powder in the self-rising flour, I like to give it that little bit of a boost. No yeast in this. This is not a yeast bread. So, and then what happens is I do 1/2 ratio of milk, possibly a little bit less. As you see, there's like big bits of butter. So I've taken some unsalted butter and have cut in or chopped in. And what's going to happen as this butter melts, we want this to maybe, I'm going to maybe refrigerate this. Uh, that's the ratio. Typically your fat or your butter, your oil or something like that. Sometimes people use mayo. I have a recipe called a mayo roll where instead of the butter or oil, I'll fold in mayo. But it's the same ratio. 1 part self-rising flour, 1/2 that ratio of milk. You can use water if you don't have milk, or you can use any sort of cream product. And anything that you add to your biscuits, if you're going to add something that is a dry ingredient, then you want to figure that out. And if you want to add something that's a wet ingredient, you want to take accountability for that. And I've added a lot more butter, basically, than what's typical. So what's going to happen in this case is I was able to use a little bit more dry ingredient because I knew that I was putting in chunks of butter. And what's going to happen is this is going to, as it cooks, the butter is going to melt and get in and hopefully give a little fluffiness to this, and yeah. So we'll see. It's kind of a biscuit, but it's more of a biscuit muffiny kind of thing. And I did a denser dough. This is not a very wet, liquidy dough at all. You see how it's almost solid state at this point. Whereas a bread dough, It's not too far either, but if this were a yeast and I did it to this consistency, but with the yeast in it, I would really have to let this rise for a few hours. And as I reshape it, it would lose some volume, and then I'd have to let it sit out some more. But I do a pretty decent quick bread to uh, quick bread with the quick yeast. You know, it's almost it's somewhat between a biscuit and a slow yeast, a yeast that you actually have to basically wake up. And but a quick yeast, you can warm it up, you can activate it, but it generally activates in the cooking anyway, and then and even in the rising or whatever. But yeah, I want to do with the quick yeast uh, when I do bread, because it cuts off about an hour of the prep time, really, so I can give it a good maybe an hour and a half worth of rising versus like you know 2.5 to 3 hours for rising, and then pounding out, and then refolding and everything. One thing you could do with this, though, this is just real simple. There's no yeast in here, so maybe 15 minutes between the dough to let it firm up. And I let it go a little bit longer because they're, whatever. And it did kind of swell in size and get a little voluminous, and it's actually going to get bigger as it cooks, you'll see. Um, and then but one thing I could have done was I could take these and I could like put them out, and then I could cut them, and I could layer them with a little bit of dusting of flour in between the layers, and that's how you would get those great big giant grand style layered biscuits. But yeah, that's a bit ostentatious for me for what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to have these, and then I'm going to have a ham that I have in the oven, which is really good. It's a boneless, and it's not nearly yeah, it's good. It's got a good fat side or crackling side that I want to do in the oven until it gets that good crispiness. And it's yeah, and it's an applewood smoked ham, so it won't require hours and hours and hours upon slow cooking. Like if you have a ham that has not been cooked and you're going to try it doing the oven, it's really better if you have a grill or something. You do it outside in a smokehouse or in a grill or something to get some smoky flavor. But you could put some liquid smoke on it and slowly do it in the oven. But it would just really take up a lot of your time. I've done a brisket that way, a corned beef brisket, and one year, and it takes about 2 days to really do that proper. And so I don't do that brisket anymore, because it's like you have to get it fresh and you have to trim all the fat off of it, or as much as you can, and then marinate it and treat it, and then you have to slow roast it. And you don't have enough time in one afternoon, or I don't, even with everything that I do. So I actually have to take it out of the oven, refrigerate it after it cools down well enough to go into the refrigerator. Uh, and then it's got to go back into the oven, and it's got to finish for a few hours. And that's during that second is when I would put like the rock salt on it, on top of the vinegars and brown sugars and everything. That's when I would put the rock salts on it. And then that's a good roast beef kind of, not a roast beef, but a corned beef kind of treatment to a brisket. But then to finish it off, like if I'm going to take it to a gathering or something like that, like I did one year, I took it to a 12-step Christmas function. I wanted to do a Jewish style. And in that case, what I did was, after that second roasting, I sliced it really thin, put it in a slow cooker so that it could stay warm and marinate. And then, you know, even got more tender, because the secret to the brisket is slow cooking, really, 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 really slow. Any sort of really chuck, you want to do as slow as you can. You can rush a chuck and cut it thin and everything, and people can. I mean, you could fake it, and it'll do well enough. But if you really want a good chuck steak, you've got to cook it really, really slow. I don't know how I got on the topic of that. I don't know. That's what happens when I start talking about food, weather, and everything. Um, so yeah, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this dough, this biscuit, and I'm going to put some plastic over it, and I'm going to put it into the fridge, and it's going to be a refrigerator temperature. It'll be just like when I go to if you pull out a can of biscuits, but I don't like canned biscuits because I know how to mix my own biscuit dough. And then what'll happen is it'll stay fresh. The butter in here will not turn, neither will the milk. It'll stay fresh, and we want that. Um, so yeah, I'm so excited for that. What was I talking about? I started talking about snow. Well, I have everything I need. We don't really have snow here. It is going to be cold, so I don't plan on going out. Uh, but yeah, it wasn't that big disaster down here as far as Louisiana goes. It's cold, icy roads, big inconvenience, but I haven't seen any reports about water mains bursting or anything like that. Mostly because we fortified all that as much as we could after the last bad winter that we had. That there were water main burst all over the city then, and I'm assuming when they repaired those, they did those, I would think, in a way that's like, okay, this is new. We're gonna newer technology, and we're gonna whatever. And then where I am, they just built these things. Like we've been here maybe uh, a year and a half, uh, probably about 2 years, and I got moved in probably after they've been here about 6 months. So yeah, or give or take. So um, everything is new here in the complex where I live. So uh, we shouldn't have too many issues. But yeah, it was a little bit when I went outside. Hang on. That's it. My little table out here. I should have brought that in when I brought in the. Uh, it's a little late now, but it did get icy. The reason why I say I should bring it in is because when it got um, this frost on it, this little, it's a little powdery, but anyway, when it got that, it's like, I'm gonna come out here. Now I know that I can come out here and just dust it off. That'll help keep it from getting. It's weatherized, but I don't want it to get like super wet and everything like that. So it's cool. It's fun. It's something different to look at, than the usual weather. So I appreciate that. But I just want everybody to stay safe, and love you guys. Peace. Love and light. Bye.